Welcome to the Greatness Together podcast. Curious minds unite. Mother-daughter conversations that delve into the heart of psychology. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Simonne.
Hi, Mother.
See,
Are you a female?
I identify as she, her, yes.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
Are you a feminist?
I am a feminist.
Are you a third wave feminist?
What?
Do you know what third wave feminism is?
No. Where I thought that there was one type of feminist.
That's where you were wrong. First time you were wrong in your life.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about this. Am I doing feminism wrong? What is this third wave feminism?
Well, so 3 waves of feminism, apparently to my sociology textbook.
So it must be true. It's in print. It's not a blog.
Yeah. So we got first wave feminism, which happened in like 1920s. It was this movement, this first big movement where women were standing up for voting rights and standing up for just individual rights, because before that they were not considered human, part of society, and all this nastiness. And yeah,
and I hate that look on us. That's terrible.
Yeah,
it's hard to believe, actually.
I know, that was like 100 years ago.
I know.
Aren't we so fortunate? No,
yeah, we are
lucky and fortunate.
First episode. Yeah. Oh, second. That was our second one. God. Fortune versus lucky. Yes, you're right. We are lucky. Yes, we are lucky. Yes.
So second wave feminism is when, I think it was like 1960s kind of, was around like the hippie movement and stuff. It's like yeah. It's another movement, like kind of breaking the already barriers of what like the first wave feminism was. So
we have a little farther to go, is what you're saying.
Got a little farther to go. So this one was about just like equal rights for women and bringing, so like specifically in sociology, it was like bringing women into sociology and making them like just looking at things more sociological perspective-y.
Well, and I think that part of what really they were trying to change is not, so yes, women had the vote, and yes, women were able to participate in society and so forth. However, they were still underrepresented in the C-suite, still are.
What's C-suite?
The executive level in organizations. They're still way underrepresented on boards of directors.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's actually interesting. I don't know why, but one day I randomly searched up who is the president of Harvard, and I saw it's a man. And then you know how like when you search something up, there's like those automatic questions that people ask. I started pressing a bunch of those, and it was like, who is the most paid professor at Harvard, Stanford, all these blah blah blah. And then I started looking into it more, and I was like, who's the president of Stanford, who's the president of Penn State? And it was all men.
It sounds like we needed another wave of feminism.
Yeah. Anyways, as you were saying, or are you finished?
No, but that's exactly what you just said is what I think what the second wave, from what you're talking about, if it's in the whole 60s, 70s time frame, the whole Gloria Steinem, burn your bra kind of thing, I think what they were trying to do is to make sure that we had women who were the president of Harvard and Stanford, and that women were equally represented in all professions and so forth. So that didn't happen, obviously, given that the search did not happen in the 70s, since Google didn't exist. And you didn't exist.
I didn't exist.
And I didn't exist until 76. So there was a lot of non-existence. Yes.
Yeah. And there's also non-existent of, in that second wave of feminism, there's like a misrepresentation of BIPOC people, aka people of color, and basically second wave feminism was fighting for women's rights, like of white high status, like heterosexual, cis, like what's the word, like
well-educated professional,
yeah,
like
well-educated,
socioeconomic status, place of privilege, really.
So that's what third wave feminism is. It's really like bringing women from the shadows into society more, and like listening to their voices and bringing, like, giving them experiences and representing them in society. So people of different races, different sexualities, different classes, and just hearing their voice. And we see that a lot in Canada when it's, I think like I was reading about this today in my sociology book. Apparently I learned a lot from sociology.
Good timing.
Yeah. I think it said that Canada is the one nation that's considered cultural, multiracial. It's like the one nation in the world. Pardon me if I got that wrong, but it was something along those lines.
We'll put in the show notes. Yeah.
And it's just really like Canada is becoming a nation to really represent just people who have not had voices, and minorities, and people in the past who have been colonized and underrepresented. I think I've said the word underrepresented about 100 times now.
Well, that's what it's about, really. And I remember back in the day, I don't know if they still talk about this in sociology now. So back in the time of horse and buggy, when I was doing my sociology undergrad, or courses, I should say, they talked about Canada being a salad bowl versus a melting pot. So the American, is that still a thing?
I don't know. It was,
how'd you read that? You're not talking about like actual getting a salad bowl, you know, well, it was metaphorically.
It was talking about like the definition of melting pot, and how like in America different I think it was integration. Everyone's melting into one pot, like mixing into one culture.
Right.
What great timing. I had so much time because I was actually at the passport office for 3 hours waiting. Also
experiencing multiculturalness.
Yeah, no, I was reading in the waiting room, and I was late to my psychology lecture.
Oh my God.
And I felt really bad because it was very obvious that I was very late, and the prof looked disappointed.
Oh, but you gave her a shout out.
Him. It's a dude right now because he's doing like biology and stuff. I know.
Because he's doing biology. You're saying there's a guest lecture. It's a
sure. Yeah, he's been doing it this week and last week.
That's good. That's fine. Other people are allowed to teach the class.
Yeah, my queen, Dr. Martini, is away right now, but she'll be back next week. I can't wait to see her beautiful face.
Can I tell you something really, really cute?
I'm scared.
So Monica, who produces this podcast for us, she said, I so love that Simonne's teacher's last name is Martini. She just pictured this like suave, smart, like holding like this martini glass. Shout out to Monica.
She's the definition of class.
She is a classy lady. I've met her. She's pretty awesome. So when we're understanding feminism, it's not just one word like feminist. It is understanding how over time, even a concept as progressive as feminism has a bit of a woke moment and realizes, oh, that really benefited this group. We need to make sure it benefits a broader group and a broader group. And you know, where like you were talking about this at the dinner table, and I was like, oh my God, we still have to cover that in the podcast at some point. You know why?
Why?
This explains the linkage to DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion work, because in organizations, a lot of people think that this is irrelevant. We don't need this. To your point, we have many different cultures at our work, with many different nationalities. What do we need with DEI? Your point, though, about with needing a third wave and probably fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth wave, because there are things that right now that seem like, oh no, we're doing good. And then we'll realize, oh my gosh, I can't believe we thought that we had it all figured out. What? As we kind of see things from a new, more awakened, more nuanced perspective, we realize that we're not necessarily being inclusive of all people. And that's, I think, what, like, when you were talking about this third wave, it made so much sense. The focus of second wave feminism, I was trying to make sure that educated professional women get a seat at the table. Very important, still fighting for it, still needing to keep fighting for it. And what about all the other people who are new Canadians, who did not necessarily have the privilege of going to university, who are raising a big family and then enter the workforce? There are many people who do not come from that place, who are trying to make sure that they make partner in their law firm. Nothing wrong with, of course, wanting to do that. Just, you know what I'm saying? Like, it brought a lot of clarity about why DEI initiatives, they need to help corporations now have to help fill the void, because 2 past waves of feminism did not do it.
Yeah.
So we need a more focused, concerted effort. This is not tokenism, y'all. This is trying to move the needle from a strategy standpoint. And we're realizing it's not just about gender.
Yeah.
Or gender from a she, he, or she, her. It's a more of a gender fluid, right? And it's making sure that we have, when you do a search, hopefully in a few years from now, about presidents of universities, we have more of a non-cis. By the way, define cis for the listeners.
Cis is being, like, identifying as the sex that you were born to. So I was born a female, and I am still a female because I didn't transgender.
Yeah.
Or I'm not.
You identify as the sex that you were born as.
Yeah.
So we have so much farther to go with the movements, with the intention of past generations of past waves of feminism. And probably by the time we have whatever the fourth wave, in fact, could you guess? I'm just sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. If you had to guess what the fourth wave would be, what we still do not quite meet the mark with, even what we're trying to do with this third wave, what would be? Could you take a guess? I'm just curious, because you're way more progressive than I am. So where do we still miss the mark even in this third wave?
Well, people are really trying to wrap their head around like these new, I don't even want to say new, because like transgender people have been around for centuries now. Like, look at Two-Spirit people. Two-Spirit is pardon me, I don't want to get this like completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's like where Indigenous people basically have like 2 spirits, have like 2 genders. They're like the gender they were born to, or maybe like the band they were born to, and then also another spirit. I hope I did not get that wrong.
You're inviting people to educate themselves if they're curious in that.
Yeah, but that has been around since as long as Indigenous people, which we know that has been that means that it's been around for so long, because Indigenous people have been around for so long. And I am going to stop myself there, because I could go on a rant for probably 3.5 months.
And it would be a worthy rant to go on,
yes,
given what we have done to Indigenous people.
yes.
Yeah.
So I think fourth wave feminism would be socially accepting more people, like, who don't necessarily identify as female, don't necessarily identify as trans or gender fluid or gender vibrant. Like, it would just like accepting whoever they are, because society. Now, I wish I paid more attention in my lecture we just had on identity and sexualities in
Looks
my
like you're going to be
sociology.
excited to go back to it.
Yeah, but it was talking about, my prof was talking about a lot how identity and gender is really socially constructed. And people are having a hard time accepting people who are not male, who are not female, because it hasn't been like that. That's not what people know, and people often find it hard to accept and just like to educate themselves on these like new these new things that pop up.
So like, I know what you're saying, to understand a concept that they have not been raised to understand, and that doesn't have a neat little packaged place in society, right? Oh, which boxes do I tick? Oh, there's so many boxes. Why? Right? That's how you know there's like resistance, right?
But like in reality, it's not affecting you at all. Like, if you're complaining about the boxes, just be lucky that you know how you identify, and like be lucky that you are comfortable in your skin and that you know who you are, because people all around the world, and for as long as humanity's been around, there have been people who like know for certain that they are not the sex or gender that they were born to. Like, we watched a video in my lecture, and I forget what it is, but it's individuals who have private parts of the different.
Oh, androgynous, I think.
That does not sound familiar.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up. Keep talking.
Yeah, but they don't have the private parts of like the sex or gender that they conform with. But like, I don't even think in some places it's legal for people to have like surgeries to.
I thought you meant when they're born with both sex organs. I think that's androgynous, their parts. So I think what you're saying is a call for gratitude, or a call for being grateful, like rather than being intolerant. Instead, maybe see it as gratitude that you're so clear, and therefore from that place of gratitude, be understanding and be supportive of people's curiosity or needing to shift their, and just be clear of their identity.
Yeah, just like be up to like looking into new perspectives and looking at different things a different way. Like, look at a video of like a I'm not sure what term to call it, maybe like a transgender person, like think about.
I think you're saying educate yourself.
Educate yourself.
Educate yourself.
It's hard living like that. Like, I saw a video of someone who was transgender, who was born a male, though transitioned to female, and she often gets referred to as male, and it's just devastating. She says it's a knife to the heart. And that's something we're lucky enough that we never have had to feel that, because we didn't have to transgender, and we didn't have to, like, we didn't have, well, I was gonna say like a hard time fitting in. I think everyone has a hard time fitting in one time in their life, but just lucky that you know who you are, because some people go through their whole lives not being happy in their own skin because they're not, like, the resources to make them comfortable aren't available to them, and they won't be accepted. Another thing that was interesting is in Canada, this baffled me. In Canada, if you want to transgender, if you want or like if you want transition surgery, you have to go through sessions and sessions and sessions of, like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, why do you think you want to do this? Like, basically kind of like brainwashing you. And
or there, I think it's like the idea is like they want to make sure that you're sure, but you're saying it's a form of bias, right? Because you don't do that for, are you sure you want to work on your heart?
Yeah, are you sure you want leg surgery? Like, are you sure you want to get your eyes fixed? Like, this is someone's identity. It's as serious as, like, leg surgery, because it's like transgendered people have way higher suicide rates than, like, cis people. And that's something cis people will never understand. And that's something that cis people need to acknowledge and need to educate themselves on, and need to look at the world from a new perspective, because it will really show you how lucky you are. And I would thought,
and I think that's your fourth wave right there. Your fourth wave is about people being able to self-identify and feel a sense of clarity of identity and not have to fight so hard, it sounds like, every day. So third wave feminism is still focused on she, her. I think what I'm hearing you say is your prediction, which maybe, given how you're early in your schooling, maybe you will be the psychologist.
I'll be like the fourth wave feminism of bell hooks.
What? Bell hooks?
Bell hooks is like an advocate for third wave feminism.
Oh,
she's I think a Black woman.
Okay, so Simonne McVanel, you heard it here first. She's going to start fourth wave. Yeah, maybe after exams. Yeah. So I love how you've, like, queened, by the way, your voice in this podcast.
Yeah, I got a little, you listen to me.
I love it. Listeners, did you love it? I hope you loved it. We have to see, this is one of the things why we want to do this podcast is almost all the podcasts are by middle-aged people like me. We don't need another middle-aged person podcast. I mean, no disrespect to the other million podcasters out there. It's just, this is, I think, what we need to understand. We need to understand perspectives that we did not grow up with. I learn from you at the dinner table every day. And we need everybody to be able to learn from people who are seeing the world with a new lens, who have terms that are very comfortable to you that we got to get more comfortable with, and be able to maybe understand why we still have some of the social issues we have through the lens that we don't currently have. Because you can't understand, Einstein had this quote around the same mind that came up with the problem is not the one that can solve it. I totally butchered it. He's dead though. He's not going to complain. Sorry to tell you that. But really, this is what we're all about in this podcast. We're talking about relevant sociology and psychology concepts. We're looking at it from a multi-generational perspective to try to understand it, to try to make it relative to the world today. And in the case of this one, to predict the future that we need to all keep an eye out for so that we can be part of the solution.
Yeah.
So as your parting words,
educate yourself and look at the world from a new perspective. You will be baffled and very more sympathetic and empathetic towards groups of people and just circumstances, and you will seem very smart, like everyone wants to do.
Yeah. So there you go. Nice.
But it's not all about looking smart.
No.
It's about I'll say it again and 100 more times, but gaining perspective.
Simonne.
Hello.
I am very proud to call you my daughter.
Appreciate it.
I love you.
Right,
you're very smart. And I think every dollar of tuition is being well spent.
Yeah.
Many dollars. All right. I hope that you have enjoyed this conversation. I hope this gives you some interesting food for thought and the inspiration to go and do a little digging, learn a little bit more. And the next time you feel like whatever program, whether it's diversity, equity, and inclusion or something else that's happening corporately, learn about it, get involved. If you're feeling like it's tokenism and surface, get involved, dig in and make it more relevant. If you don't understand it, now's the perfect time to see if you can learn more about it. And encourage more people to come along on the journey with you.
For sure.
For sure.
For sure.
For sure. All right. See everyone, no matter how you identify, we value you and thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for joining us for the Greatness Together podcast. Never miss an episode. Subscribe wherever you catch your podcasts. Yours in greatness, Simonne and Sarah.